Work on your faith and trust and strengthen your relationship with yourself. And then when you're true to yourself, everything happens.
Today I'm here with Rachael Hill. Thanks so much for accepting my invitation. We actually met the first time as a client perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it 2023?
2023, exactly. We met as a first with my shamanic hat, and then our relationship evolved into a business relationship. She's now involved in running activities at the Art and Spirituality Center with her business Electric Glory. We are cooperating together in Zen Corporate Wellbeing branch of Art and Spirituality. So welcome, Rachael, here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. So we are just digging into the first definition of our topic of our series, walking in between worlds. What are the two worlds, or maybe more than one, that you are walking in between?
Well, I suppose, we were just discussing before, weren't we, that I'm going through a period of transition, and I think I'm just learning what the two worlds are. I was actually, as you know, a nurse, a registered mental health nurse for 10 years. And I decided to, 3 months ago, put an end to that because I wanted to look at, I've been focusing on my health. And for me, that just kind of had to go with it, in terms of, the long hours. I did that for high stress, stuff like that. And now I'm kind of venturing into a world where I'm able to support other people who are experiencing that.
So now you're very fresh and relaxed.
No, I tell you what though, when I rang the NMC, it was quite sporadic, if you like. I always knew I was kind of going to leave at some point. But when I rang the NMC, I said, can you lapse my registration, please? I couldn't quite believe I was doing it. I always kind of envisioned that for 5 years' time, 10 years' time. But I knew if I didn't do something drastic, what would I have done? Just stayed doing it for
the universe would have done it for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, I got up one morning and I just thought, you need to do something a bit drastic here. And I rang and I said, can you lapse my registration? And as soon as I come off the phone, I felt in my body, heart and soul just, and that's not to make the career bad. My goodness, it was great, and it's such a privilege to meet people where they're at, and what a privilege to be able to support them through some of the worst times in their life, But I suppose I could see, and I think my, self-inquiry really started probably about 4 years ago, and you were involved in that. I wasn't actually living in Edinburgh at the time, and I was doing my research online, and I was coming up here with a friend, and we came to see Jada, and that really kind of helped me with the self-inquiry as well. So where am I going with this? Yes, I can see the nursing was an old pattern that I'd grown out of as well, which was quite remarkable. And what a privilege to be able to see our patterns, And I think we recognise our patterns in walking between worlds, do we not?
Yeah, exactly.
And having the courage to do that.
Yes, which is essential. And lots of people live their life without joining and facing that moment that they dream about, their own life. But then there is never the courage because I'm too old, I'm not too young. Too young probably will be an encouragement, but I'm too old, I've got my mortgage to pay, my bills, my family. So, okay, it's fine, I'll apply next time, next life. It's just always postponing. And so what is the new world that you have joined?
Well, exactly, Jada. I don't know yet.
We're in progress. Just stay tuned. In 6 months' time, there will be another episode.
There'll have to be. No, I think during a period of venturing into the other world, if you like, who am I? What am I? When exploring your identity, I think I'm just going gentle. I know that in terms of my professional life, perhaps that's being now blended with my personal life in a way. And by that I mean, when I was a nurse, it was boom, going into role, masking up, you know. Now it's blending who am I, what am I, and how can I serve people as me, you know, as Rachael. So, and at the minute, that certainly looks like and is supporting people within the work environment through specialist assessments, workplace training. You know, I do that via Electric Glory and now Zen Corporate, which is wonderful. And to me, it feels very new. What feels very new about it? Because obviously I'm very familiar with supporting people and empowering people. But what I'm not so familiar with, I suppose, and what I'm exploring, which is what I'm adding to business, is kind of bringing heart into business, you know, love. Because actually I've just been learning about love, probably started learning about love at the age of 34. I'm six, not six, I'm 36 now. I feel sick sometimes. But, you know, and through that I can learn, but I can also help others understand that. And what do I mean by love at work? Which sounds bizarre maybe when I say it out loud. How often do you hear people talking about love at work in corporate environments?
No, not at all. But I do
Compassion.
merge my love for what I do, the passion that is behind, and it's very visible, it's very tangible. That I love what I do in all the different, let's say, forms and flavors that I have decided to take into. So taking on this conversation, yes, two questions. How can we, or how would you feel encouraging people when they are unsure, when they doubt, going beyond the threshold and joining the new world, even if, as you yourself expressed and said, you are not sure about what this new world is taking and also the definition of that? What would you recommend? What would be your advice to people when they are in that phase? I'm fed up with what I'm doing and I would love to make a change.
To work on their faith and trust. That actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this. A few years ago, I would have been like, what a load of rubbish. And that's the truth. You probably know that. To work on your faith and trust and strengthen your relationship with yourself. And then when you're true to yourself, everything happens. Everything happens when you've got the courage. Because I think our logical mind takes over, doesn't it? And you know, we do have to have some logic in life, don't we? It'd be great if we didn't need it, but you know, I need to pay the bills. I've got, you know, responsibilities, but actually how empowering it feels to do something that is true to yourself, impacts your external world. So actually, you know, if you've got family, colleagues, whatever, friends, you'll probably be a better family member, colleague, friend to them because you're living as your true self and you're honoring yourself and strengthening the relationship with yourself. So I would say, yes, okay, it takes a lot of bravery and courage, doesn't it? And it's not easy. It's not easy. My God. But it's not easy, but it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. And where you have definitely the love for yourself that you mentioned, because you are connecting with what your heart is saying.
Yeah, and sharing that with others. And I guess that's what I was getting at before. It's an opportunity for me to practice what I've learned and continue to learn, but also I will continue to learn through expressing that love through work. And that's not to say a nurse and I didn't care for people, you know, and but I have a different expression now. And I think if I can apply, I certainly associate compassion with love. And that's kind of what drives me now. When I'm working with people through, so say I do specialist mental health assessments for people within the workplace and we explore how they navigate, you know, of course we have policies and we've got to be corporate about things, but actually empowering people to care about themselves. And also I work with the managers and the team members and educate them about how they can put some care into and thought and love into their work, you know, and therefore that's when environments start to change, people start to change, environments start to change, but also you see the results in your business return.
Yeah, of course. And there is, of course, we need to have patience to see the results, because sometimes it's take the divine time, which is normally long.
Mm-hmm.
And also in terms of when you are changing, the people around you are changing as well. Which means you get new people on, and those that were always with you before are confused because they identify themselves with you in front. The you in front is changing, so you are not mirroring them back anymore. So what would you say to people how to deal with the relationship when they want to change, when you want to change, and how would you advise people to do, what to do, how to behave with the friends, the relatives, the environment around, which are seeing this wheel turning?
Wheel turning, I like that.
The Christmas wheel.
The Christmas wheel. I've been talking about the Christmas wheel, George. I just want to go on it all the time. I actually nearly sang a Tina Turner song there, but I won't. Just reminded me I'm not sing. Right. So yeah, look, we know when we change internally, our external environment changes quite drastically often, particularly if it's like a rapid expansion. And when you're kinder to yourself, your boundaries shift and change, don't they? So therefore they will with your family and friends. And sometimes that means some even unintentional goodbyes. I feel the universe gives you that opportunity to see who people are, to see who they are in your life, to challenge you to see actually, who do I want around me? Who am I? And it's hard. I mean, certainly personally, it's been very hard. A lot of goodbyes, but actually they were necessary, absolutely necessary, because if I hadn't have said goodbyes, I wouldn't be here where I am today. And if we were to talk about a vibration, people have, auras and vibrations, don't they? And that impacts us. And of course, we can protect ourselves, but actually, I think continually putting yourself in an environment that doesn't serve you anymore, or around people that don't serve you anymore, has an impact on your vibration, and therefore your expansion, and particularly with manifesting, in my opinion, anyway. And I'm speaking from experience, but also I suppose doing a lot of reading on it over the years. So I would just be kind to yourself, consider your needs first. And actually, the people who watch you change and still care for you, they'll still be there.
Yeah, 100%.
And they won't be jealous, they won't be judging. Or maybe, we judge, it's a natural human response. So maybe they will judge, maybe they'll feel challenged by it. But actually, whoever's meant to stay will stay.
Yes, 100%, of course. And now that you are mentioning the term vibration, what's the new role of spirituality in the new you that you are creating?
Don't know, Jada. No,
I'm fine. Otherwise, you would be God with all the answers. Good that you don't know.
What you saying? What's the role of vibration within my new work?
Of spirituality now, the new role of spirituality compared to when you were in the other side of the wall.
On the dark side.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm curious about. I suppose I am ensuring I'm exploring my vibration and what I've learned. So, for example, the chanting. You'll know all about chanting and that rhythmic repetition, the power of that. I think sometimes we can make it religious, sometimes it is, but I do it personally to try and raise my vibration. And I think when our vibration's raised, yes, there's many benefits of that, but actually I just do it because I want to be the best person I can be, and the most caring person I can be, and the most loving person I can be. And that helps me get out of here as well, which can sometimes be not very good, and in here. So I suppose it begins with me is what I'm saying, and I'm exploring, but I do love to chant. And I'm actually, when there is research around chanting and trauma, if you've got a history of trauma, so I'm actually working with clients around chanting at the minute. So supporting, I guess through that, I'm supporting clients with their vibration, and then hopefully within that they'll see the power of working with your vibration. And of course, I'm exploring mediumship, which is really really interesting, very extreme, because obviously I was a psychiatric nurse for many years, and of course there is psychosis, there's perceptual abnormalities, stuff like that. These are the words. I don't deny them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe in an unseen world, and I do believe some people have access to that through raising your vibration. So who knows? Who knows where that'll lead? But I've had the courage to explore that because I've always had those experiences since being a young child that I've never spoken about. I mean, why would I, child? Why would I? You know, why would you? I didn't feel comfortable to express myself when I was young for various reasons. And then I suppose what I did is went into nursing, and shut down. And for various reasons, completely shut down. We're still having these experiences, but just denied them. And now I'm in a position where I can explore them. So
yeah, I mean, lots of people, I myself as well, I would have not, I mean, growing up in a Catholic environment, quite strict, in a judgmental city where it's all about money. Why would you say that you are having weird experiences in general? They would
be thrown in hospital.
Exactly, you will be banned. So sometimes you just keep them for yourself. You don't even have the wisdom to say, well, at some point in life I'll share them. No, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't say them, then then it becomes a problem because you just set them down. Exactly. And so there is, and they're not expressed. And then it's just like all of a sudden at some point in life, they bloom, you have the opportunity to express them and also let them become your main activity, your main job, your main career, your main sole purpose, which is amazing, But we know that sometimes people don't arrive to this phase. They just keep them there inside themselves, keep them quiet, and they consider that it has, like, their life has been a failure because they're not happy where they are and they couldn't really express themselves for what they would have wanted to do, which is probably the highest percentage of people nowadays. Even if there is an awakening, we are definitely, I mean, at the end of the...
Well, it's weird.
Yeah, the end of the Kali Yuga is between 2025 and 2032, where there is the big awakening coming. So it's basically the end of that time of disruption, uncertainty, wars, unbalances. Of course, it's very optimistic to think that they're going to end in 2032. There was also been speaking about communicating in a telepathic way by that age, by that time. Of course, it was said many years ago, and we think, well, it's only 7 years. How is it possible that so many things are going to change so quickly, and the communication level is going to change so quickly? Well, miracles are possible.
Yes, they are.
In a positive way. And also, I mean, also what happened with the pandemic, in a very quick way, everything changed literally from a few weeks to the other one. So we also have to think positive things can change in one night, in one go, for sure. So now that you are in this place in which there are more things coming on, and you said at the beginning there is this identity crisis.
Yes, big one.
A big one. How do you feel that you are true to yourself when you don't know this yourself? What this yourself is?
Exactly. Who am I? What do I want? So I know that I've been true to myself by letting go of anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. So, to some degree, I have an understanding of where I'm at, what I want, who I am. Where am I at with it? How do I know myself? I take time to get to know myself. I think sitting with yourself, and by that I mean sitting with no distractions.
What does it mean, sitting with you?
Sitting in the pause. It might be just taking some time in the house with some incense on, some nice music, although that can be a distraction. So I try to limit that, which is challenging. And just not consciously, purposely using the time to think of something, just what's going to come in, what thoughts are going to come in. But actually to take that time to get to know yourself is paramount, I think. And that's where I'm at the minute. And I'm a very impatient woman, Have you noticed?
No.
I'm an can be a demanding, impatient woman, and I'm aware of that. And I can feel that within me at the minute, because I'm like, well, who am I? What am I doing? I need to do something, because I've been in this drive my whole life, which I think is part of my personality. You know, there's a real drive to me. I need to do this. I need to do that. What am I doing? It's like I clutch onto things. And that's not a bad thing. You know, I've clutched onto many things and they've been great. I grabbed the things and I feel like I am being given what I need and not what I want at the minute. Which right, what do I want?
What your soul needs.
I want to go on the Christmas wheel.
Watch the space again. But this element of the impatience is something that I keep seeing more and more and more with all the, especially when people attend my events, my workshops, and I guide them through something like close your eyes, and then I'm guiding you through something that could be a visualization, meditations, pre-preparation of the shamanic journey. And I see very much how much there is this impatience in people. Lots of people need to open their eyes, need to see. They are turning like a steak on a grill. They are not quiet, lying down. They constantly move, and you see
it like a steak on a grill.
There is this element of real impatience, and of course connected with anxiety, which is the main issues that we have nowadays, and this inability with all the elements that we are in contact with. We are so much bombarded by fast elements of interaction with people, with businesses, with social media. Everything is so quick and fast that this time of quietness, it can be very, very challenging sometimes to get. And I mean, I understand that. I mean, I managed in between the crazy lives to get these pauses, these blank moments of also in between the tasks sometimes. Just taking a breath in between the task before moving to another one, and that just creates the separation between the two worlds. But it's more and more and more difficult for people to live in this state of balance.
Yeah. What is balance? You know, we all have different versions of balance, and I think that changes as you grow and change. And I think, you know, for me in particular, excuses, I've come to understand my excuses. I mean, that's not to say astrology doesn't exist, but I'm like, oh, well, I'm an Aries, so I'm impatient. Permission granted. Permission granted. But, you know, it's exploring those different areas, but also going, well, actually, like you've just mentioned, where's this impatience coming from? Anxiety.
Yes, that's
discomfort, irritable restlessness, discontentness, not being able to manage uncertainty, you know, and that's okay. We are the way we are for a reason, aren't we? But it's just not criticizing yourself, but maybe being curious about yourself. That will help you, I think, understand. I'm hoping, and that's what I'm practicing at the minute. I'm hoping that will unravel who I am and what is meant, you know, and stopping myself from getting in the way of that by being impatient, you know, demanding. And also, I'm a human being. It's okay.
Yes.
Okay to be, you know.
Yes, of course. And so do you think that now that you are in between these two worlds, the real balance is living in between the two worlds, or at some point you need basically to jump 100% into the second one?
Well, when you said that there, jump, isn't it? Jump.
You have already jumped, but you're still with your legs across.
Am I? Am I?
Because you are having this crisis, because there are elements in you that are still behaving and acting like the old Rachael, like you are repeating what you were doing before in your work. You are still having this element in the new ones. Of course, you do that in a new way, with a renewed way of being in contact with people. But you are still. I mean, you haven't changed entirely career. I don't know. You have become a plumber. Let's say plumber. Let's say it's still connected, because it's a transition. So do you feel that the balance is really being like I would say, in like the three pose in yoga in between these two, or at some point you would feel that the balance would be 100% in the new dimension?
I hope that the balance would be 100%. I think it takes more courage than I've got to be able to do that. I'm quite materialistic, And I see in my mind, I see it's coming away from that, and I'm a bit like, oh, but I do like nice things as well. So I will justify it by that. I like nice things, and I think that's a big barrier for me at the minute. So for me, for whatever reason, Jada, jumping, the whole other way in another dimension, if you like, is something that I associate with my life completely changing and not having the things that I'm very connected to. And that's scary. That's scary to me. That's scary. But maybe it's not as, we tell ourselves stories about outcomes. So what will this look like if I jump? And actually, when I look back, where human beings will compare, won't we? When I look back, every time I've jumped, it's been beyond anything I could ever have imagined. So when I tell myself stories in here, it's not what actually happens, but there's stuff coming up, being stirred up in me of thinking, oh, well, if I go and do this and go and live there, what sort of life will I have? Well, I won't have this. I won't, just telling myself stories. So yes, I would hope that I would get the courage to jump, but also, what is that? What is that for me personally? What would that be to? Because I think it's different for us all when we take a jump into the another realm, if you like, or living true to yourself and exploring other worlds. And I think I'm quite over this bit, but there's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of stigma when you explore what the majority of the population seem to deem as absolutely crazy. And don't you think?
Yeah. Shall we chant together?
Chant?
You said you love chanting.
No, I don't think we should do that. I'm not prepared for that. No. No.
Yeah, that would be another jump to chant in front of the audience. Well, what
I'm
do you
not there yet, Jordan.
chant with people, by the way?
So about removing obstacles generally, because I'm not trained in it. I'm not a professional in it, if you like.
No, yeah, but what exactly? What mantras?
It's Gum Ganapatiye Namaha.
Okay, so Buddhist ones, yeah.
Yeah, and it's devotion, isn't it? But also the different ones have different properties, if you like. It sounds a bit clinical, doesn't it? And meeting people where they're at, and generally the people I work with tend to have obstacles or barriers towards, well-being or feeling good about themselves or trusting. Yeah, so we go for that. And also I think there's a bit of playfulness in it, It can be, sometimes there's barriers towards doing it because people feel a bit silly, and it's the unknown. People can associate it with religion, and it can be, can't it? But it's certainly not in the way I do it. So yeah, it's
also
quite
because
powerful.
in the majority of the time, all the Buddhist mantras, which are, comes from the Sanskrit, actually don't mean anything. They are pure vibration. Even if then they have been translated, of course, with meaning. It depends, of course, how you practice it. When I was seriously Buddhist, I was practicing them for the meaning of, like, for example, you had to work on something specifically. They were inside the purification. They were inside, a retreat that you were doing, so they had a meaning. But nowadays, if I chant the mantras are inside shamanic rituals that I've given them a totally different meaning, which is connected still of doing a healing work, a spiritual work, but without the definition of the origin where they come from, because I do strongly believe that all the traditions can mix up together. It's just like all a big team up there in the universe. Without you the need of identifying yourself in one school or in the other one.
Yeah, and I think that's quite empowering, and I think it's a loving way to look at it, in a sense of we take different things from different schools of thought, if you like, beliefs. Why not? So although I'm going, oh, I'm not a professional in it, but actually I've personal experience about it, and I've explored it with other people from a young age, actually. I remember I was about 21. Yeah, I would have been around about 21. And my partner at the time's mum, I had a pain in my neck. And she had a shamanic practitioner in the house, and she went, "Oh, do you want her to sing into it?" And I remember thinking, "No, I absolutely do not. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous." But I said, "Yeah, go on then." And you know, she sang into it, and that vibration has the power to heal all sorts.
Yeah.
And I suppose my curiosity opened up a bit, but I was still very, I suppose, in fear and judgmental about it. But I think that just comes from a place of fear.
Absolutely, we have all been in that place. Unless, of course, you have been already really lucky to be born like a mini bodhisattva. Absolutely, and having been in an environment of friends and family supporting that, but it's normally it's really something quite rare. Nowadays. And so, I mean, as the last things, what would be if someone that is listening or watching is actually in this position? What is the first step that they need to do?
Just be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. And what I've found is just be playful with it and try not to take yourself so seriously, because we take ourselves very seriously in one of the worlds, don't we? Too seriously. And I think we certainly invoke that and embody that, and just trying to detach from that. I think playfulness about it can break down barriers towards the other world. Does that make sense? Playfulness, not taking yourself so seriously, and just really strengthening your relationship with yourself, and faith, keeping the faith. I mean, whatever form that takes, it can be just, you know, talking to yourself gently, doing new things that are compassion based. You know, I know there's a lot on here, isn't there? Sorry, we're sitting in the art and spirituality centre in Edinburgh. You know, there's a lot on here in terms of free events that are compassion based, meditations, breath work, sound baths, just exploring things that will probably support you at this time. And sometimes I would say just keep it in the day, a day at a time, because our minds tend to go, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening tomorrow?
All the time, going back and repeating the same things. Over 90% of our thoughts are repetitive, so we're really boring beings. Keep thinking, okay, I met Rachel this morning, so she said this, she said that, and we go back into the same loop, or we are projecting and planning for what still has to come. We are rarely in the present moment. Yeah.
So just get curious about being in the present and keeping the faith, I would say.
Wonderful. And where can people find you if they want to connect with you on social media, website?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Electric Glory Wellbeing, and also www.electricglorywellbeing.com.
Wonderful. And also zencorporate.com.
Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you, I forget. What's that?
We're doing another recording for that. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's really been a beautiful journey and pleasure to see our relationship evolving from one side to the other one. So I'm really looking forward to what it can become, which is really wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. And at some point, I hope to be one of your guests in your podcast.
Yes, it's on your list. Yeah, you will be. Thank you, Jada.
Thank you.